It is February 24th, 2026, and the Orange and Black Soccer Cast is back. For those of us joining us live, we are so honored that you'd pick us to be your choice of chaos and nonsense on this fine evening. Let's get right to it. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. And first up this year, Larry. Larry, how's it going, bud? I'm gonna keep talking so I can save you the embarrassment of pulling a Brad to start the year.
I am so good right now, and I'm so good because I know you always got my back on just the little things, Dylan. That's why I love you, brother. And man, it's exciting. We got another year coming up. We've got some new faces. We've got some old faces. Me being the old one. And yeah, this is going to be 2026 is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Perhaps more on that old face later, Larry. We got one other distinguished gentleman to bring in. One Matt Elder. Matt, welcome back to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back. Excited for another adventurous year of supporting this fun team. We'll see how it goes. We can finish top. We can finish bottom. We'll just have to find out. We'll have some fun along the way.
I believe the bell curve that means that we will probably finish somewhere in between.
No stats here, please. No statistics.
All right. Well, all vibes. Matt, your favorite English team, Chelsea, I think is in a little bit of chaos still.
Always.
You mentioned an adventure. What is the biggest adventure for 2026 for Orange County Soccer Club?
There's a lot of fun similarities between my two teams, and just a team full of kids is another fun similarity, and I'm here for it. It's a fun time. It's easy to get behind them and have some fun. Your expectations are, not super high. You're just like, hey, if we do well, that's fucking awesome, and if we don't, then okay. So, we're just gonna go with it and see how everything goes.
Wonderful, Larry. What are you looking forward to in 2026?
I think one of the biggest question marks we're going to have is, can we put the ball in the back of the net? Matt said there's similarities between his team and Orange County Soccer Club is his other team. And me being a Sunderland fan, they don't score a whole lot of goals, and Orange County doesn't score a whole lot of goals, and we didn't score a whole lot of goals in preseason. But you know what? We don't need to score a lot of goals. We just need to score one more than every team every week. Should be a piece of cake, right?
Thank you, John Madden. That is wonderful, wonderful commentary work. We'll probably put you on co-coms if I had to guess. Yeah, for those of you who maybe didn't follow along with the preseason, and that is no fault to you because it is historically rather difficult unless you find yourself in random parts of Southern California. I believe Orange County played 6 matches. It was 6. I can't count. And in those 6 preseason matches, they managed to score 2 goals. So let's just go ahead and pump the brakes on the panic train really quick, because it was all the way back in 2018 when, I don't know, some orange and black wearing team won the West, that they managed to barely score any goals during the preseason, including a very, very, very tepid 1-0 victory over, I believe, UC Riverside. So we're surviving. But some of these are a little more humbling than others. Larry, I believe you actually found yourself at one of these matches. Is that true?
I found myself at more than one. I was at the Salt Lake game. I was at the first half of the El Paso Locomotive game. And I was at most of the AV Alta game, which wasn't friendly at all, man. Those guys have got attitude. They got some serious inferiority complex going on over there, and trying to do stuff that was maybe possibly hurt some of our players, and I didn't like. Some things that I did see out there for our boys. I liked a lot of the ball movement. I liked our defense. I liked how Alex Rando looked. And he got beat on some, obviously, by, based upon what we're looking at. And, we didn't score a lot of goals, but there was a lot of opportunities there, and there was a lot of good, creative football going on up and down the pitch for our boys. I like that. So I don't hit panic buttons. I'll hit panic button in August. You guys know me. Around game 26, that's when I start to get panicky.
I'll leave it to the listeners to find out whether or not match 26 or match week 26 is in August or not.
I don't know.
Might actually be right, just off the.
I'll check in a minute.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. To get some thoughts from you, really quick, even away from the results, just from the players that are here, the players that are contractually obligated to wear orange this season. Who are you most excited for? Be it, give me one new player and one returnee.
Boring answer, Jameer Johnson. Johnson? Jameer?
Jameer.
Double checking that I had the right name. I just think it's like the new thing that's like, oh, this could be really exciting. It's kind of got the same vibe as Bryce when he was coming through and those type of things. So be really excited to see kind of how that goes. And I've been really excited about wingers before, and sometimes they deliver and sometimes they don't. So that's kind of the excitement, right? Is he could light it up or he could be fine. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited to see kind of how that goes. What was the second question? Existing player? Same question?
Returnee, but yeah, I mean, I like to think they all exist.
No, I don't like to think that. I don't know if I like the guy exist. I just want to see all of them stay healthy. That's again a boring answer. I'd like to see what McKinnon can do at a fully healthy season. So I guess that would again be the answer. But yeah, I mean, trying to think if there's any standout. Again, Duty once he gets back. Some of these players that we just didn't get to see a lot of last season that we had a lot of hope for. So we'll see kind of how it goes this year if they can stay healthy and make things a little different.
I think health is always kind of the struggle for this club. Grayson Duty obviously coming back from his ACL injury. I think he's about a month out from maybe returning for the club. So that's very exciting. In the meantime, we've seen Mo War, I believe, in a handful of these preseason matches playing as a right back. So
why not?
Dude? Yeah,
and he wasn't bad. It's not something that you would expect. You wouldn't if you're Orange County Soccer Club fans and you saw Mo playing last year, and then all of a sudden you see the lineup and you go, he's going out on the pitch and he's at right back. What the hell is going on here? But you know what? He did I'm not going to say bang up, awesome job, but I would say that he was very serviceable at that position. I wouldn't be afraid to throw him out there against Las Vegas or Phoenix. And we'll see if we can ask Danny if he agrees when he gets on the show.
I was very excited to ask him about that, actually. And mostly I'm very curious to know what Mo's thoughts are with it as well. But I think that's my favorite thing about the winger experiment, Matt. Sometimes they're a winger, and then sometimes they catch a good vein of form and they become a number 9, and sometimes they become a fullback.
I did not hear the word winger when you first said that.
So. I didn't hear winger. I did not hear winger, and I was wondering what the hell
what experiment? Okay.
Oh boy. Well, I'll try and enunciate more. I'm still in preseason myself,
Nice.
And speaking of positions that they don't belong in, I'm hosting because Ray is out sick this week. I don't know you could. I didn't know that you could call out sick to a remote recording, and yet
so he
here
says.
We are.
Hashtag
so
where's Ray?
Yeah, Samora is officially out, I guess, by himself. Not sure what's going on there, but all the same. Larry, any kind of final thoughts from what you've seen this preseason? Any questions you'd like to pose?
Jameer is exciting. That is my biggest takeaway from the 3 different games that I attended. He is electric on the ball. He is not afraid to take a shot. He is not afraid to go right at a guy who is twice his size. Man, I'm going to say Cameron Dunbar plus, maybe 2 pluses. As much as I love Cameron, as much fun as Cameron was to watch play out on the pitch, Jameer is, I think he's going to put on a show for us this year. I really, really believe that. And y'all can quote me on that, or you can not quote me on it, whatever you would like to do. But I think he's going to really make a statement and make a name for himself this year as part of Orange County Soccer Club. As for questions, Dylan, I have a question for you. What are you most excited to see happen on the pitch for Orange County Soccer Club this year?
Goals going into the back of the net. It doesn't matter who they're from. I don't matter. Ideally, I'm in the stands watching it happen. That's somewhat of a rarity these days, but there's nothing more special than watching us score.
Also, ideally in their net.
Also, ideally in their net. We'll talk more about that maybe in a minute or two. I think we've scored some really electric own goals over the last couple of seasons. Last year's scorer, Latinovic, of course, is no longer at the club as he's found himself a home in Brooklyn. Was that the fifth borough? I'm not going to ask a geography question this soon. Matt seems to think it is the fifth borough.
Yes, Brooklyn is one of the 5 boroughs. Boroughs, not boroughs. I know. Thank you, Grayson.
This is already very quickly derailing. I do have a question for both of you, and this one comes from Seek and Strike, the New Mexico podcast. So I have to assume it might be coming from Chris Walker. Did Orange County address issues that were left to be desired from 2025? Matt, you first, please.
Totally. I know all the players that we've signed and kept and all that. Totally. So, yeah, dude, definitely did.
Larry, why don't you answer this question while we go over who all is coming back?
Well, what issues did the team leave to be desired? Only one team can win the championship every year. We all know that, obviously. Now, we were one of the last, 8 teams standing? And it took all the way up until the, what was it this time?
95th minute, I believe. 94th or 5th, yes. 94
minutes and 58 seconds of 95 minutes for New Mexico to beat us. Did we... Obviously, we've already talked about it. Orange County doesn't score a lot of goals. Did we bring in another goal scorer? Maybe in Jameer, possibly. But with the returning players that we've got, and if these players are healthy, in particular, Liam McKinnon, the guy who won a golden boot down in League One, there's a reason he can put the ball in the back of the net. Marcelo Palomino, this guy's right foot is a cannon. I saw him take a couple of free kicks and a couple of corners. And I think that he's got the capability of putting some balls in the back of the net. But if you can get McKinnon healthy, if Jameer can do what I think he can do, and if Ethan Zubak just does what Ethan Zubak does, double-digit goals, it could be 10, it could be 12, it could be 14. You never know. Then that is going to address an issue that Orange County has had. What did we lose from last year? We lost Kyle Scott, but we lost Kyle Scott back in August, I think it was, something like that. Ben Borgiolo, great kid, but he wasn't an impact player. Cameron Dunbar got a lot of minutes for us throughout the last couple of years, but was he a big-time goal scorer? He was not. Vuk Latinovic, arguably one of the most spectacular own goals in the history of USL Championship. He is gone, but we've got a center back replacement in both Nico Benalcazar and Tyson Espy. And who else? We are going to lose Pedro Gramades, in the next couple of months. But we lost Colin Shuttler, of course, who is, been great for us for the last several years. But we brought in a solid replacement in Alex Rando. I like how Rando looks. He reminds me a lot of Colin, just bigger. And I know when he was with Las Vegas Lights a couple of years ago, they weren't a very good team, and that kind of his stats don't look good. But what I see in him in the games that I've been to is somebody who knows how to be a field general out there directing his troops on where they're supposed to be going. So what issues do we have? Health. There's a thing. How do you predict whether or not a team is going to stay healthy? You can't do it.
Well, there kind of is, but fortunately for Orange County, no players from last year actually kind of hit the dreaded minute total that typically foreshadows a pretty major muscular injury the following season. So congrats to us. One of the returnees, half the time I start the word and I can't figure out how I'm going to finish it.
You got it right.
Yeah, there we go. Chris Hagart. He will be eligible to play that first match of the year, despite his last action of last year being rugby tackling Roro Lopez, because he already served a suspension. So congrats and welcome back, Chris. Of course, yes, we will say Pedro Guimaraes back for a couple of months, as earlier reported, I believe earlier this month. He's on his way to Germany come the summer. So not particularly a surprise. He's been, and this is some high praise, decidedly one of the better youth players I think we've seen kind of come through, and certainly more consistent overall. And Liam McKinnon should be returning from injury all the same. Larry, do you have any special details about Liam?
He looks good. He looks good moving around the pitch. Doesn't seem to be anything from that Achilles that is holding him back currently as we speak. Of course, last year he was just starting to come back. Had a game with a brace, and then I don't know if you guys know how he got in. I don't know if I'm allowed to say how he got injured the second time, but they can yell at me later. It's always easier to ask forgiveness and permission. He tweaked himself stepping in one of the ditches around the outside portion of the field out there back behind the champ where the guys where they do their training. So it's very much a fluke injury there that kept him out for the most of the second half of the season. So right now he's looking really good. I've talked with him. He's very excited to be out there right from the first whistle of the season. And again, I think that he's going to, I think that he's going to be a huge difference maker. This is a guy who he can go out there and he can score 15, 20 goals. I firmly believe that. And I'd love to see it from him. That'd be amazing.
He might be the solution to Orange County's goal scoring problems. So a long-winded answer. Maybe Orange County has figured out and addressed its issues from 2025. We shall see. Before we move on, just a quick note of who all collectively has departed. Of course, Bryce Jamieson technically left last year, and we got him back on loan. Colin Shuttler, the big one there. Ben Barjolo off to Portland. Ashton Miles off to college. I believe Vuk Latinovic has mentioned off to Brooklyn, staying in the league. Cameron Dunbar, believe to Atlanta. Gavin Karam is playing in Israel. And finally, Kyle Scott is back in the U.S. We'll see. Good for him. I expect he'll pick up an early yellow card against us, as is the nature of Kyle Scott, but it'll be nice to see that wand of a right foot still in the league.
I think we should start a poll on that on all of our socials. How many minutes into the game will it be before Kyle Scott picks up his first yellow on the opening night on the 7th? I'm going to say 18 minutes. That's just me.
Matt, throw us a number here, would you?
I'll go second half. I'll go 48. Right in the second half, we'll get something going. He's going to take someone down, or he'll just get a little too aggressive. One or the other.
I'll play the middle here. I don't think a ref's going to want to open the season with a sub 20-minute yellow card, but I can see him doing it at half an hour. I can see him saying, "You know what? Actually, that is a little bit too much." So I think 30 minutes is a safe bet there. Apparently, he had a bit of a rough time. Producer Andy would like me to know that there was a comment left from somebody in Crawley saying he didn't do anything for us except get booked. So it happens. We've had plenty of those players. Speaking of old men, not actually Larry in this situation. I believe the oldest member of the club at this time is now Kevin Partita. So also speaking of people who like to get yellow cards. So he's the elder statesman.
I was going to say, who gets one first?
Oh, that's
I
good.
think it's Kyle, to be honest. I feel like Kevin will be good for one later in the match, potentially unnecessarily.
It's a good bet. I feel like Kyle definitely has a more bigger spread on when he would typically get one, because Kyle can just like get a bad tackle and like to Larry's kind of guess, he can get it tackled in the 10th minute, get frustrated, and give one back, get a yellow card. Whereas I feel like with Partita, it's going to be more, your general professional foul type of thing. That it'll probably more likely to happen in the second half.
Certainly, though I do love his sub performances when he comes on and it's his first action is hacking someone down. Like, I'm glad he's ready.
Set the tone.
Yeah, I mean, previously Orange County's kind of struggled coming into matches. We've started slow. I've mentioned 2018 earlier. We conceded first a lot that season, where it seemed like we needed 15, 20 minutes to get every match. There were points last year where it felt like that as well. Kevin Partita does not need 15 or 20 minutes to get into a match. Kevin Partita is ready to hack a man down during the warm-ups. So,
and let me just say, in regards to Kevin, he has looked absolutely fantastic as well in the preseason games that I have been at. He is coming back healthy. He knows that he needs to be a guy who's going to play 28 games this season. I think Kevin's 31 now, or just about to be 31. So, he knows what his job is going to be this year. And what I've seen on the pitch, and have seen it building the last couple of years, is Kevin becoming more and more of a leader out there on the pitch. And we saw that with him getting the captain's band on a couple of occasions. A healthy Kevin Partita is a team leader out there on the pitch. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, for a larger portion of the season this year. And I think he only needs 10, 11 appearances to become Orange County Soccer Club's all-time leader in appearances.
Yeah, there are a handful of players that are all right around the century mark, a couple below, but it doesn't take very much for him to usurp them. He is only 30, but 2 weeks from tonight, he will turn 31. So
okay. I was right there.
It's kind of crazy to think about, of the more senior players we've had in the past, Michael Roscoe, Kevin Alston, and Richard Chaplow. Now our oldest player is 30 years old. We are going the Chelsea route, except I don't think we gave any of these players 8-year contracts. So we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Yes, Larry.
I was going to say, and when your teammates are all calling you Poppy, there's a reason for that.
I can't say I've ever experienced that one, but I'll take your word for it, old man.
Trust me.
Oh, you will now.
That is Kevin's name on the field. They ain't saying Kev. They're saying Poppy, and it's absolutely awesome. I love it.
I love this mostly for the fact that for many years I heard, well, actually numerous coaches of ours trying to specify which Kevin on the field they were yelling at, and now that we only have one on the club, we're not even using his name.
I haven't heard Danny call him Poppy yet, so we'll have to ask him.
I don't think, given the hierarchy of the club, that's actually allowed and or possible.
I will say we haven't talked about him yet, but I'm excited for having Mateo. That makes me happy.
I mean, Matt, you brought him up. Bring it on in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, similar to Jameer. It's an exciting winger or attacker, and like it's the one thing I think is the probably most people's like biggest joy in soccer is like if you have an exciting winger, someone who can just do kind of, as Larry was saying earlier about Jameer, someone who can just run at a defender, do some stuff, make something happen. It's what gets you, on the edge of your seat, or for us on the higher level of bleacher.
On the edge of a bleacher.
Yeah, on the edge of a bleacher. Falling into the row in front of you. Yeah.
It's best case scenario, you land on the person in front of you. For those of you who haven't found themselves into the County Line Coalition on a match day, don't let the bleachers scare you away. They are a welcoming bunch. They are a fun bunch. And again, there's almost nothing better than watching Orange County score a goal in the opposition's net in the County Line Coalition. I should specify. But yeah, main thing about Mr. Bunbury is, I mean, he's on the it feels insane to say, older side of our prospects at a whopping 20 years old. But
Oh my
over the last
goodness.
2 seasons, 47 appearances for Timbers 2, managed 9 goals at the same time. So if he can translate that into the championship versus MLS Next Pro, I think we'll be in a really good shot, because last year I think it was 6 goals from 27 appearances overall. He's getting there, and it honestly comes with the family. I think he's like the brother or something of the guy that plays for Nashville. Someone else fact checked me on that one. Matt, really quickly before we invite our guest in a couple moments, who are you most? I should say, what do you most expect out of our defense this year, rather than who?
Before or after Pedro leaves? Yeah,
I'll take both, actually.
It's definitely the thing I'm the most nervous about. We haven't really addressed it that much, especially the Vuk leaving. I'm a little nervous, as I was last year, about our depth. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, as much as I love seeing a Mo play at right back, because I love me a player that'll just play where he needs to, and does what he's asked and kind of gets out of his comfort zone for the good of the team. I don't love to see it from like a roster perspective. I feel like he can be better used up top, and rather have Stellan stepping in when Pedro leaves. So, but having Dogman back, love him. He can do some awesome things, like him and Jameer on that side, or Liam, or whoever it might be, Liam, whoever that might be on the left. Like, that's going to be a fun side to watch this year. Brewitt, love him. Like, so excited to see him back and healthy this year. So, not feeling like I did last year, where we were just going to try to outscore teams. It felt like
that didn't work out well.
So I hope we can score goals this year, or else just kind of figure out. I mean, Danny definitely did something that got us a lot more solid last year towards the end of the season. So if we can just kind of keep that momentum going and figure something out there, then I think we'll be okay.
Things did become pragmatic, and we can certainly ask him about it in a moment. Producer Andy, I believe you have something to say.
Who is it?
Yeah, hey, so I was just looking really quick, and Mateo's dad played professionally with, I think, the KC Wizards, and his brother plays for Nashville.
Thank you for fact checking me. I thought I recognized that last name. All right, Larry, since I believe we have a moment before we bring our guest on, what do you expect out of our defense this year, and how will that change with both the return of Grayson Duty and the departure of Mr. Guimaraes?
Well, Grayson gives us a really solid player in the 2. He was so much fun to watch, and it was so unfortunate that we didn't get to see enough of him last season. Grayson can score some goals for us out there in that fullback, winger, left, right wing back, whatever position it is that you want to call it. He plays with great control. He's very smart when he's on the pitch. So when he's back, I think that is going to make a huge difference. I think that Tyson Espy is going to get a lot of minutes this year. I think Tyson is now 17, right? Have I got that right? 17? So I literally have T-shirts that are twice as old as he is. But he looked good when I saw him. A healthy Tom Brewitt, who's I think he's been nursing 1 or 2 things here during the preseason, but he's still been training every single day. And I like Nico Benalcazar playing in that left center back position next to Tom. I think that Nico is a lot like our old Miko, that he is a Swiss Army knife. He can go and play in any position you need him to. He could probably go up front and play the 9 if you needed him to. And to have a player like Nico Benalcazar on this team, you can't put a price on that. You can't put a value to that, because there's so many different things he can do. So if we do need him to move up into, somebody said Tyson is 16 still. 16. Wow, 16. My God.
So 2009, I graduated high school. Oof.
Do you feel
Oof.
old yet?
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Like, when you
Oof.
said our veteran is 31, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, my contemporary.
Yeah. Still younger than me.
But yeah, I think that our defense is going to be solid again, and that honestly over the last how many years? What 4 or 5 years now? Since 21 when we won the chip, we've been a defensive minded team, and we have shut teams down, and we haven't given up a lot of goals. And I think this year's team, with the defense that we have, I think it's going to be a lot of the same. It's new because now you got Rando back there. We don't have Shuttler, who we'd had for 4 seasons. So that's going to be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, you got a great anchor in Tom Brewitt. You got Ryan out there on the left. You got Nico in the left center back, and whoever Danny decides to put at the right wing back, right back, right, whatever it is, fullback. They're going to play solid, be it Mo, be it Pedro when he's here, or be it Dylan or Grayson when he's healthy.
I don't think they're going to put me in, but hey, we can ask the man himself.
Wrong Dylan.
Just let me live a little bit. Coach Danny Stone, welcome back to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Thank you for having me, guys. Good to see you.
Likewise, Coach. It's been we discussed it a little bit ago. Probably 6 frustrating results for you, perhaps. Can you run us through what your vision for the preseason was and how things turned out?
Yeah, I mean, I think preseason is always a time it's always going to be a bit of an unknown time of the season in certain regards. There's a level of planning that you do going into preseason that is always best laid plans as far as how you want it to look. Of course, there's a lot of factors that go into preseason to prepare players and prepare a team for the beginning of the year. One of them, of course, is physically. The other is on the field and how the team play. And every preseason looks a little different from an opponent point of view as well. I think this year we've had probably the strongest preseason I've ever been part of with a USL club in terms of the quality of the opponents that we've faced. To open with 3 MLS teams was a fantastic thing for us. It put us straight into a situation where really there was very little time for us to bed in, I suppose, without facing obviously a very strong opponent in LAFC and LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake as the first 3 games of the preseason. So there's a great side to that. It's a really, really positive thing. I think we're, in a lot of regards, we're fortunate that we are able to play those games. And so we were very pleased to get those in the schedule. And then, the next couple of weeks are a little closer to obviously USL opponents, and then we'll close it out this week with UCLA before we prepare ourselves for the first match of the season. But again, I think it's been a preseason that has tested us a lot, which we may find out is the best possible thing for us. It's it's a time where I've been part of so many preseasons now as a coach that it's very difficult and almost doesn't make a lot of sense to read into the game results in preseason. Having said that, as a team and as a club, we always, of course, go into every game wanting to compete well. But again, it's a time where through preseason we push players hard and we go into weeks. Last week, for example, I think was our heaviest physical week of the preseason by design, and around the game schedule that we had earlier in the preseason schedule. Last week was a very heavy week of training, and then finished the week with the heaviest minutes that we put players through in the games on the Saturday. And that's again by design. We know that that's a tough ask for players, and it's a physically heavy week, and that's part of it. And we put players through a physical stress that their body has to cope with and adapt to. But it's designed, obviously, to put players in a good place to move then into the season and into the next 7-8 months of competitive play in the USL season. So there's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of factors. You can myself, same as I'm sure every coach, I set things out at the beginning of preseason. We have a calendar that we want to work to. We have a physical periodization that typically is designed around hopefully everybody being as healthy as possible and things being exactly in place as you'd like them. The reality is, and we know this as well, it never works straightforward in that direction with 100% certainty. We know this. So it's always an adjustment. There's always things to have to deal with. And again, we frame all of this as something to look at as a positive test for us, whether it's, players who carry knocks during preseason, which is normal, whether players who are obviously at different physical points. And of course, the opponents that we face through the whole preseason schedule as well, I think has been excellent. So I'm pleased with those games, and to have those opponents is great. Again, of course, we always want to go and come out with results that go in our favour. That is a given, and that is stressed as an importance. And we don't forget this. But at the same time, we understand we are working towards a long season ahead of us. So we trust the process, and we put a lot of faith in that, and that's where we are as we speak right now today.
Coach, you mentioned it's a test, albeit a positive one, and it's a test for a surprisingly young squad. So what are you expecting from your younger players in 2026?
Honestly, I expect the same as I've expected, since I've been with the club, is that young players, we know as an organization, we put a value on having young players in the squad. We put a value on developing young players. We put a value on providing opportunities for young players. The task I pose to those younger players in the group is to earn and deserve what they are given in terms of their opportunities. That's very important. What I expect of them is first and foremost to learn how to be a good professional day in, day out. And again, that's part of preseason. What I expect of them is to compete for their place in the team with every other player, regardless of age. That's something that I expect of everybody. Again, all the way through preseason, that's part of it. And through the year here, I expect to see some good talent on display with young players, some of whom obviously we've seen with the organisation last year that we know. Pedro, for example, obviously has played a lot of games and a lot of minutes with the club, and of course will has earned a fantastic opportunity and move coming up here in the middle of the year over to Germany. But we also have some young players that are now taking those first steps into their professional career. Tyson Espia, who joined the club last year, but has really began the season, been away for a lot of preseason. These are kinds of situations that are both very positive on one hand, but Tyson with the national team setup has missed a large chunk of preseason. Jameer Johnson obviously joins the club coming into the year, and again, another talented young player that is beginning his first steps in the men's professional game. And these are players who we believe in, we know have talent, but there is a responsibility that they have to hold themselves to in order to develop and to become the player that we believe they have the potential to be. And potential is a word that I think is often used, but it's also a word that relies on guidance and support and coaching and teaching from not just coaches, but an organization, but also just as importantly, the player to take on their self-responsibility and do everything they can in order to achieve the level of potential that they might have. It's got to be from both sides. And so when you ask me what I expect of them, that's what I expect, is that they give themselves the best opportunity that they can to be the best that they can be and to earn everything that they might achieve here with the club and beyond.
Hey, Danny, it's awesome to have you back here. We always love talking with you, and and I have to say personally, thank you, because you're always very giving in your conversations with us and your conversations with me that we've had on several occasions. Just kind of an oddball question. We were talking about Kevin Partita, and Kevin Partita is now the quote unquote old man of the team, and everybody calls him Poppy. Do you refer to Kevin as Poppy as well, or do you just call him Kevin?
It's a good question. I mean, personally, I probably mostly refer to him as Kevin. Poppy, I think, is it's a common kind of nickname for him. A lot of the guys use that name, and I think on occasion, depending on the type of conversation that we're having from a staff point of view, occasionally we'll use that name as well, but I think for me, most of the time, I will call him Kevin for now, for sure.
That's a fair answer. In coming to and watching some of the preseason games, saw Mo War playing at the right back position.
Yeah.
Is this a discussion that you had with him prior to the start of preseason, saying, "Hey, we're looking at maybe using you here"? And frankly, in the 3 times I've been at the stadium since during the preseason, that's all I've seen him play. So
Yep.
how has he taken to that role? And again, was it a conversation that you had prior?
Yeah, I mean, it was a conversation with Mo, yes, and I think if you look at the end of last season, Mo also finished the season playing there for us. Unfortunately, we've had several issues at right back. I think we lost 5 players at right back during the season last year, and so Mo ended up along with Malik Pinto finishing the year as a right back for us. Neither of them, I suppose, by primary position. Were a right back by trade, but both I felt handled it admirably and capably at the end of last season. And of course, utilising Mo a little bit now in that role through pre-season as well is, yes, it was a conversation with Mo. And as you know, Mo is a player who is both very flexible from a playing position point of view, but more so flexible and probably and willing and will put an honest shift in any role that we ask him to do. And I've said many times about Mo, he's a fantastic teammate and member of what we do from a team point of view. And if I ask him to play as a centre forward, he will tell me no problem, that's what I do. If I ask him to play as a right fullback, he'll tell me, yep, no problem, that's what I'll do. And this is a great credit to Mo. And I think for him in pre-season, he began the first couple of games of pre-season in probably more that right winger role. But again, just sort of circumstances dictated that we're a little short in a couple of areas from a positional point of view, and Mo has again capably and very diligently stepped into that right back role for us over the last handful of preseason games. Maybe not his primary role, and of course probably not the role that he knows best. And he's going through, as he kind of was at the end of last season, a little bit of a crash course of time and rhythm and learning that position, which same as anybody in any position, it will take a few games for him to pick up a little more of the intricacies. That only comes with time doing it. But I'm really pleased with how he's slotted in there, and I agree with you. He's given a lot in that role in the preseason games that we've asked him to play that position, and he's more than capable. So I hope what I'm saying here doesn't sound like Mo is a fill-in for us. I think he's a very capable player in that role and has done a good job. I'm very pleased with Mo for the work he's put in.
Great. I've got 5 names that I'm going to say. I want you to just give me 1-2 words that you, as the head coach of Orange County Soccer Club, how you would describe them.
Yep.
Ethan Zubak.
You want me to give you 1 word?
1 or 2.
Okay. Ethan Zubak, I would say work rate and teammate.
Okay. Kevin Partina.
I would say experience and aggression.
Alex Rando.
Yeah, I'm still getting to know Alex much better, but so far I would say presence, and I would say shot stopper.
Marcelo Palomino.
I would say energy for sure, and creativity.
I got 1 more, and then I'm going to turn over to Matt and let him ask you a couple of questions. Liam McKinnon.
Liam, I would say physicality, and I would say goal threat. Hope that helps.
Absolutely. And when you come back on again in 2 or 3 months, I'm going to have 5 more names for you.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Or the same 5. See if he has the same answer.
Or the same 5.
Yeah.
How you doing, Danny? Good?
Yeah, doing well. Thank you. Yourself?
Doing all right. I've been thinking for 2 hours of trying to figure out how do I answer or ask this question. Because I know this is probably more of a private question over a beer type of thing than the podcast, but how do you navigate? Like, I'm fascinated by the young players. The team's moving in a direction where we're trying to develop young talent. And I'm always fascinated with kind of how you navigate the young players potentially getting minutes over a vet that, I don't want to say might be better, but how do you kind of navigate the situation with young players and deciding kind of minutes and stuff like that? I know it's probably tempting to say, whoever's better, but how do you kind of navigate that situation with the players, really?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's an element of course, who the players that are performing best will generally be rewarded with minutes. That's certainly a big part of it. I think around that, again, there's a little more of perhaps a club philosophical point of view that we always consider. And again, this is I don't think what we're discussing here, although of course I won't divulge every conversation that we have. However, I don't think it's a secret that as an organization we promote this, and this is a big part of the fabric of who we are as a club, and part of the task with the team is to find that balance. Sometimes, yes, it's not an easy balance, and some of that is not so much down to, as I referred to earlier, the talent of the young players that we have involved with the club, but there is a process for young players to learn what it is to be consistently a professional footballer, and that's that comes with ups and downs, and that comes also with a required level of patience from everybody that works with those players. And there are times where it is appropriate for them to play more minutes, and performance again is part of that. And it's also appropriate at times for them not to be constantly exposed in the spotlight from starting games or from a selection point of view. There is a balance to that, and it's important. There's different times in a season. There's different games that are played in a season. There's we know in USL there's lots of different types of environments that we will face during a year. Of course, with the away schedule particularly, and so some of that we might choose. There are games where we need a little more experience in the team and on the field. There are other games and other opponents where we might assess, this is a great chance for us to expose a young player to some more minutes in this game, and the game suits that, and we might feel that the combination of players around those younger players are most beneficial for them. It's I certainly don't want to seem like I'm dodging the question here, but there's a lot of factors that come into it, and the reality is sometimes the choices are difficult, sometimes the choices pick themselves, and other times we certainly obviously have a club philosophy where we will help those players by selecting them in the most appropriate moments that we feel they can be successful in. Part of what we do is we want young players to be successful, and so part of our responsibility as a club is to put them into situations where that can happen. That is the case, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. Not always easy choices, but that I suppose, in the quickest kind of answer I can give, are some of the factors and some of the conversations that take place on a weekly basis throughout the season as to when it's most appropriate and right to expose and to reward young players with what they earn.
Yeah, it's something I could definitely talk to you for like an hour about, because I have so many questions about like how you navigate that with how you talk to the veterans about that and how they feel and how you navigate that. To me, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I remember Mourinho kind of made a comment about like protecting a young player, and that was something I never really considered until he said that, of like, why do you think I'm not playing him because he's not good enough? No, it's because if he gets exposed, that could kill his confidence and ruin his whole career.
Yeah.
So that's something I always just try to think about with younger players.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing
Yeah.
I will add to that, if you don't mind, just for a moment, is I think when we, the more senior players and the more experienced players in our group, and to be honest, a lot of those players we're talking kind of 20, 24-year-olds maybe, 20,
Right.
24-year-olds are
Right.
some quite experienced players in our group. These players have, I think, a responsibility and an understanding of the club that they are part of. So that's also important. And, we appreciate these players in our group that we do task as being part of helping the development and aiding the development of the young players, and also at times shouldering more responsibility for the team around those younger players who are developing their craft. That's part of their role in the group, and that's very important as well.
Awesome. Yeah, the only other question I had that's relatively quick one maybe is, with young players in preseason, I feel like they're more, fit, or like a little easier for them to kind of get that up and running for the energy. What difference do you kind of notice with like a younger team versus maybe a team with more veterans of kind of how preseason shakes out in that regard?
Yeah, it's a really interesting this one, because it's preseason is not a one size fits all, and part of the ups and downs of preseason is balancing this. Not everybody is in the same physical spot coming in. Not everybody is in the same physical spot as we go through 7 weeks of a preseason spell. I think typically the easy assumption is that young players will be fine. They'll bounce back. They'll survive a lot of game time. They'll survive a lot of training. They'll be okay. I think actually what we know is, in reality, again, same as a 16, 17-year-old younger player, and a Matteo Bunbury, the same, who's a couple of years older than that, but is still probably making his first steps into the full-time men's game in professional football. These are players whose bodies, and not only bodies, but mentalities and day in, day out grind of preseason, they're doing this for the first time, and the intensity of the games are different, and the level of competition is different, and the demands on them physically through a preseason with Orange County is different from anything they've experienced prior in youth football or MLS Next Pro settings and other places that they've played prior. So there is some caution involved with this, and it's adaptation happens in lots of ways. The physical one is part of it. The more experienced players in the group who have been through pre-seasons at this level more than once before, they will tend to, of course, like anything with experience that we have in our lives, when you've done it before, you have a better way of navigating what's to come, and you recognize patterns, how you feel in relation to what's ahead of you through a preseason.
How to push your body.
How to push your body, how to recover your body, how to rest your body, knowing when you're in a good place to push, and knowing when you might need a little more time on the other aspect of it from a recovery point of view. But again, it's preseason is very rarely, if ever, in preseason do you go into a game day feeling fresh as a player. It rarely happens. It really almost doesn't happen at all during a preseason, because you're either coming into the early minutes of games in preseason where you are not quite up to your fitness levels, or, like I referred to last week, we're pushing very hard in training through the week, and so it's not like we've got to the Saturday in a what you'd normally consider a fresh place like you would during the season. It's a different task for players physically at this time of year, and so it's a good question. Yes, balancing that is the periodization physically across a week and also across a preseason period, where the reality is not every week in preseason looks the same. For example, we around the LAFC game, we kind of trained 9 days before, trained 9 days after that, with the single game in the middle of it. Then we have 3 games in 7 days with LA Galaxy, RSL, and El Paso. So there's very little training time in around that spell. And it's again, a lot of it is by design. Some of it is down to game schedules, when you can, schedule with your opponents as well. But it doesn't all look the same through preseason. And again, I could show you a lovely looking calendar with all sorts of words and colours on it, and charts that say we're going to do this on this day, and these players are going to play this many minutes, and this is the perfect schedule with the perfect scenario. And the only probably reality we know is that will never quite happen the way that you design it. So you are constantly adjusting. We're protecting a couple of players over the last week or so. With, I know you mentioned Tom, Ethan as well, a couple of others who are protecting some injuries a little bit, but that's with a view that nothing turns into a long-term situation, obviously. And therefore, other players are playing heavy minutes, and again, these are good things if you want to frame it that way. It's very easy also to choose to see it in a different light. But again, I've been part of enough pre-seasons to know, you can read a lot into preseason, and you may read it all completely wrong. It's that sort of time of year. That's not to discount expectations, and that's not to discount conversations that go on internally with myself, the staff, and the players on what we expect of each other and what we feel we should be achieving, and what we most importantly what we view as is important ahead of us. But at the same time, I certainly am experienced enough now in pre-season work to know that A doesn't always equal B. It doesn't quite work that way often, and so we will stay grounded. We will stay realistic. We will stay hungry, and we will keep working hard through to the first game of the season, and then obviously every week past that.
I appreciate the answer. It's very detailed. I'll just close by saying that my favorite thing with preseason is if you win every game, you're going to win the league. If you lose every game, who cares? Preseason doesn't matter. You're going to win the league. So,
Danny, we have a couple of listener questions. First one, they are asking, are you a 3-5-2 coach? And if so, what would you prefer playing with more, one pivot or two pivot? And let me just add something to the end of this question. Sometime at a later date, could you please explain to me what the hell a pivot is?
Yeah, am I a 3-5-2 coach? I would say that's one system that I at times like to utilize. Yes, it hasn't been the most prevalent system that we've utilized to this point in my work with Orange County. We've generally played in different systems, mostly with a back four. But that's not to say, previously I have used systems where we play with three centre backs, and then there's different ways of organising that ahead of things, ahead of that back line. I think to answer your next question, it all depends. If we want to play with two forwards, then you have choices of how you arrange the other three players. I think probably most often I would choose to play with a midfield three and two forwards. And so to answer your question, that probably comes with a little bit more of a single pivot. And the pivot, I think, refers mostly to probably your deeper lying midfield players. So that can either be a single, some people might say defensive midfield player or number 6 or pivot. And that sometimes can be two central midfield players who play in deeper areas and will link the game a little bit closer, let's say, to the back line. So the pivots can be one or two, I suppose, most of the time in general systems, but it will refer to the deeper lying midfield players, I think, in people's thinking.
Got it.
All right. Coach, a couple more for you from the listeners. What was the biggest lesson learned from last season?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, this one, because I think we've had a lot of conversations around these aspects. I think the biggest lesson from last season for the club was for the team was to maintain consistency of motivation throughout the season, regardless of the flow of a season. You're going to have ups and downs in a year. I think we experienced a difficult time in the middle of the season with injuries and results and scheduling and kind of everything together in one. What we didn't do was allow that to affect the back end of the season from a consistency and our motivation to eventually qualify for the playoffs and to make a push through the playoffs as well. And I think the biggest lesson we can learn is that culturally this is very important. Culturally, you should never expect that things are going to be plain sailing. We know this in sport. Culturally, I felt it was the biggest thing that developed through the course of the season, through difficult spells and then through successful spells. The culture in that dressing room and throughout the building in the club became stronger and stronger as the season went. And I felt that was a huge factor, as I probably could point to even a shorter time, for the three months or so that I was with the club at the end of the 24 season. It was the same thing. We demanded that culture was good. We demanded that spirit and togetherness was good within the dressing room and within the players and the coaching staff. And I think we saw the same thing, to close the season out last year. That was probably the biggest lesson I feel that everybody should take, is that way of working and that, consistency and carrying on, keep going, stay the course, keep working and stay together. That was a huge success towards the end of last season, and that's something that I hope carries on into 2026.
Lovely. One final one from the listeners. What's the best advice you would give to a young coach?
These are hours and hours of conversation to get here. I think if I was narrowing it down really to a nutshell and to probably initial advice, I would say there's nothing replaces getting out there and doing it. Nothing replaces getting out on the grass and working with players. And that doesn't matter if it's younger players, older players, girls, boys, any level of ability. It's all valuable. It's all time to practice and hone your craft in terms of what you do on the training field, how you deliver sessions, how you work with players, how you communicate. These are how you motivate, how, of course, then all the elements of, that you could talk about from a tactical point of view. But again, I think the biggest advice that I would give young coaches, especially, and I've been through this. I think my first decade as a full-time coach was exactly that. It was so many thousands of hours on the grass with every level and age group of team that you could imagine. And I look back at it now, and it was all so valuable to me. There's nothing that is not of value. And look and watch other coaches, and look and watch other people deliver in ways that you think are good, and ways that you don't like so much, because you can learn and take from all of it. But it's like anybody in probably almost every industry, experience of doing it cannot be replicated and eventually cannot be replaced. So I would say get out there and do it, and do as many hours in as many different ways as possible, and keep honing your craft, keep learning from other people, and every day is a good day in that spell in your coaching career. In the early days, every day is a good day.
Thanks, Coach. While we let you go, any final messages to the fans for 2026?
Yeah, listen, I love it when I have the chance to do this. So I appreciate you offering me that platform. I think we always say anytime we can. I think last season we saw at home, especially, we made our home stadium a place that was a very successful place for us, and a very difficult place for opponents to come and play. And a big part of that is down to the fan support and the people that come and watch us. Not only at home, we know there's a lot of support when we go and play away from home as well. But the energy and the environment that's created at those home games was, I thought, excellent last year, and we cannot wait to be back out in front of people again this year. And our intention is to go and represent with a pride and with a passion and with a hunger that we want to go and achieve on behalf of the club and the community and everybody that supports us both home and away. So, again, it's important for me to say that we recognize it, we see it, and we feel it, most importantly, and we react to it. And it's, I say often that it reciprocates. The players will respond to the energy they feel. And I know, obviously, of course, the fans and the crowd that come to watch the team will do the same on their side. So it's so important. Everybody is so appreciated. We don't get enough times, often to say what I'm saying directly right now, but it is important that people know how we feel, and the season can't come quick enough for us. We can't wait to get back out there and do it again.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you being here, and best of luck this year.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. Enjoy it always. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Danny.
Wow. It's always nice to hear from the man himself, and at least someone was talking some sense tonight. Certainly was going to come from the three of us, so pleasure to have him on.
I thought my question about the pivot was excellent. Oh wait, that wasn't my question. Never mind.
Yeah, you did ask it in a very Larry way, so I will give that to you.
Thank you.
I would have preferred no one else have asked that question. Any final thoughts from either of you after hearing from Coach Stone?
I love listening to Danny talk. Sometimes we have guests on, be it a player, a young player, an older player, and we really got to pull information out of them. But Danny is so giving when he talks to us, and so willing to share with us. It makes us kind of look good when we're not really capable of making ourselves look good.
Yeah, he absolutely gives answers that he doesn't have to, with the detail and all that type of thing. It's awesome. You could just give like a 3-sentence answer and go on to the next one. But I definitely appreciate the detail and kind of talking through the thought process there. It's really insightful.
It's insightful. Sometimes it's a little bit long-winded, but isn't that kind of the whole thing about sports? We start here at the end of February with optimistic thoughts and certainly some looming questions, but all the same. After some meandering journey, we'll see if we're lifting a second cup and earning a second star at the end of the season. For Larry, for Matt, for Ray, who is sick somewhere, Brad, who's on a boat somewhere. For those of us joining for the first time, thanks for being here. For those of us coming back in 2026, thanks for being here. We'll be here all year long. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are out.